Hello everybody, it's Nancy News here, and today we've got lots of breaking updates today. So the first news is coming from Russia, more specifically Moscow. So Vladimir Putin and the Prime Minister of Armenia discussed on a telephone conversation. So they discussed issues, and they actually agreed to meet after the president briefed the Prime Minister on his recent talks with the Azerbaijani president. So, if you guys remember, Putin visited Azerbaijan, and he actually stated in one of the meetings that he will be talking to Armenia about the results of Azerbaijan. So it seems he has done this, and now, as a result of this phone call, the Prime Minister of Armenia will be visiting Putin in maybe Moscow, or Putin might be visiting Armenia. Who knows? But we've got some statistics coming from Moscow that India has just surpassed China to become Russia's top oil buyer in July. So India has just surpassed China to become Russia's top oil buyer. So Russian crude oil amounts for 44% of India's total oil imports last month, reaching a record 207 million barrels per day. That was up 4.2% from June, and now 12% more than a year ago. This figure exceeds the volume of oil imports by China from Russia in July, which amounted to 1.76 million barrels per day. So, very interesting news. So, India has just bypassed China. Now, let's head to a hostage situation that's actually happened in Russia. So, a hostage situation actually happened in this exact city. So, there was four terrorists that actually, with knives, stormed a military building and killed a lot of people and managed to take hostages. So the Russian special forces came up to the scene and ended up actually neutralizing the threat. So the assault actually lasted over half an hour, but the terrorists in the end were eliminated and all hostages were rescued. So these people had connections to certain terrorist groups to the Middle East. Now let's head to the Kursk region. So at least 20 M1A1 Abram tanks out of the 31 transferred to the Ukrainian armed forces have already been destroyed by the Russian military. So this was stated by the Ministry of Defense. We've also got news coming from Mariupol. So we've got news that reconstruction of the city continues to grow. So 2 more unfinished houses have been constructed in Mariupol. So you can see here in your bottom left corner, seems like Russia is making some progress, and despite who ends up holding the city at the end of the war, rebuilding is a must. So there you go. We've also got news. We're probably going to go to the main news today, is that we're going to continue the talks between Zelensky and Modi. So the Prime Minister of India visited Ukraine, which is the first visit ever for an Indian Prime Minister actually to visit Ukraine. So India is ready to take active contribution to the peace in Ukraine, Modi stated. So most of the talks were just about how to end the war in Ukraine. Now, after the meeting between Zelensky and Modi, Zelensky stated that he wants Modi to put pressure onto Putin, and that India will play its role. I think India has started to realize that this is not just a conflict, but a real war of one man, and his name is Putin, against an entire country whose name is Ukraine. You are a big country, you have a lot of influence, and you can stop Putin, stop his economy, and put him in his place. And you know where his place is. So this was stated by Zelensky after his meeting. So he stated this to China too. So he wants China to stop trading with Russia, it seems, to completely isolate the Russian economy and force Russia to the negotiation tables. But as we just read today, that India has just surpassed China to become Russia's top oil buyer in July. So India imports 2 million barrels per day from Russia. So This won't just hurt Russia, it would hurt India too, apparently. So I'll keep you updated on that situation. But at the end of the meeting, the Indian Prime Minister Modi also invited Zelensky to visit India in New Delhi. So I have no doubt that Zelensky will accept this. So Zelensky might be going to New Delhi in the near future. We've also got news that the US officially announced a new aid to Ukraine. This is because of the Ukrainian Independence Day. So again, this is kind of the same thing we talked about yesterday. It's just 155mm and 105 artillery rounds, javelins, armor missiles, just to keep the Ukrainian army running. Very interesting developments. And we also got news that the US is already discussing with Ukraine the possibility of increasing the range of strikes on the Russian territory using American missiles, stated the White House National Security Advisor Kirby. So it seems that America is looking to expand its missiles into Russia to allow Ukraine to obviously use these missiles into Russia, because we've already seen huge damages to the Russian airfields, as we talked about yesterday, and a lot of fuel depots have been destroyed. And the last news is that Ukraine will produce 155mm shells using Norwegian technology. Norway will also finance this. So Norwegian ammo manufacturer Nammo has already signed an agreement with the government that will allow it to establish licensed production of 155mm shells in Ukraine. This will allow Ukrainian troops to receive ammunition faster. We've also got news that Ukraine invites Russia to another peace conference. So the head of Zelensky's office has stated that it might be inviting representatives of Russia to a peace conference on Ukraine. So it seems that peace negotiations seem to be going ahead. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on this this request from Ukraine. Now let's head to Germany, where we've gotten some huge and tragic news that a mass stabbing incident actually happened in this very city today. So the attack actually happened roughly 9:45 p.m. local time, and this person ended up killing a lot of people. So apparently the suspect is reportedly on the run, so they still haven't managed to find the person who ended up stabbing a lot of people at the time of this recording, obviously. Now let's head to Borrell. So Borrell, the Vice President of the European Commission, stated that he publicly acknowledged the European Union is a part of the conflict in Ukraine. It is it's a 30-second clip, so just give it a watch.
That what's going to happen to Ukraine will determine also our geopolitical future. And we have to think about Ukraine putting ourselves in the game. We are part of the game. We are not part of the war, but we are part of the conflict. And the way the conflict will be solved will affect our peace and security.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention Hungary, not to ruin your beautiful Friday morning. But still, to your designate successor, Kaja Kallas, it's obvious that if Germany, as we learned today, because of these budgetary rules that you're so very much...
So if you can clearly see, he gives his thoughts on the matter, and just very interesting news in general. We've also got news coming from Russia and Turkiye in Syria. So a video has appeared of joint Russian and Turkish military patrols in the northeastern of Syria. So it's been located in this region of Syria, in this near the city here. So the Russian and the Turkish military personnel conducted a joint patrol. So the patrol route was covered over 30 kilometers. The Russian and the Turkish sides met. More than 40 military personnel from the Russian and the Turkish armed forces participated in the patrol. So both sides used a lot of heavy armored equipment, and the Russians actually decided to add Ka-52 and Mi-8 helicopters to provide aerial coverage for the joint patrol. So we've got some images and videos of this. So if we can clearly see, there's a pretty big joint patrol. Very interesting news. And we've also got news coming from a missile strike in the northern heights here in Israel and Lebanon. So more missile strikes are becoming daily. So we've got some actually news coming from Lebanon. I saw this today. It stated that Israel missile strikes between Israel and Lebanon are now becoming nearly daily. So very tragic news. It seems that this seems to be escalating further, so I'll make sure to keep you updated on that. One of the biggest news coming today is that another oil tanker has been hit by the Houthi forces. So the Houthi forces have released footage of an attack on a Greek ship that deported from Iraq carrying crude oil to go obviously to through the Red Sea and up to Greece. And on its way to Greece, it got hit by a Houthi missile that ended up obviously striking it and causing major damages. So very tragic news. We've also got news coming from Sri Lanka and India that Sri Lanka and India, our armies are holding joint military patrols or joint military exercises. So we've got some clips of this, so we can see here in the bottom left corner, both sides are training alongside each other. The exercises are designed to strengthen the bonds of the goodwill and cooperation between the Sri Lankan army and the Indian army. So very interesting news. India has also warned the US of retaliation over Russian diamond ban. The next news is coming from the Republic of China or Taiwan. We've got news that 38 Chinese People's Liberation Army aircrafts actually crossed the red line in the Taiwan border. Also, 12 vessels operating around Taiwan were detected up until 6 a.m. So the aircraft actually crossed the median line, which I'm pretty sure this is the outline here. So this is the median line, and actually entered Taiwan's northern, central, southwestern, and eastern zones. So there you go. We've got some pressure coming from China on towards Taiwan. We've also got some statements coming from China that the United States must immediately cease any official interaction with Taiwan. This issue is the first red line in the Chinese-American relations. This was stated by Liu Pengui, I think that's how you say it, forgive me if I'm wrong, the spokesman of the Chinese embassy in Washington in an interview with TASS. Now we've got news coming from Russia's Pacific Fleet and the Russia's Far East territory. It seems that the Russian Navy decided to do some small-scale exercises. So we can see here in your bottom left corner, we can see some missile launches, some activities, just testing the troops for their combat readiness. We've also got news that the medics decided to do some exercises. So very interesting news, and I'll keep you updated on that as always. And probably one of the biggest news coming today is that is coming from the Americas. So the States is that RFK Jr. has officially suspended his presidential campaign and endorses Donald Trump. So this is now officially confirmed. RFK decided to join Donald Trump. I actually talked about yesterday that I thought Donald Trump was apparently bringing a special someone to the Arizona rally, and it seems it was RFK Jr. So I called it out. I'm not going to brag or anything, but I called it out. So very interesting news. He has showed his support to Donald Trump, and he will be backing him in this presidential race. So very interesting news, and that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-Sig News. I'll try and provide you news that media around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Sorry if this video was a bit rushed. I'm quite out of time at the time of recording this, so forgive me, and thank you for watching. Bye.